The sky over the broken world was not blue anymore. It was gray, brown, and burning, mixed with smoke and falling ash. Pieces of metal and stone floated in the air where gravity systems had failed long ago. Explosions echoed across the land like distant thunder that never stopped. This planet had once been alive, full of cities and families, but now it was only a battlefield. Human soldier Daniel Reyes moved carefully through the ruins. His armor was scratched and blackened, and his helmet screen showed warnings he no longer read. He had been fighting for hours without rest. Still, his steps were steady. He had learned long ago that panic killed faster than any enemy weapon. Around him, human troops and alien allies ran toward the evacuation zone. Sirens wailed from the last transport ships waiting in the distance. They were running out of time. The enemy was coming closer, wave after wave, unstoppable and silent. Daniel had been given a simple order: evacuate as many survivors as possible. No delays, no exceptions. He reached a collapsed structure where movement showed on his scanner. Several life signs were clustered together. Daniel raised his rifle but lowered it when he recognized the shape. An alien warrior stood inside the broken building. He was tall, nearly twice Daniel's height, with thick armored plating grown directly into his body. His species was known across the galaxy as fierce fighters. Many feared them, some called them monsters. This one was on his knees. Blood, dark and shimmering, ran down his armor. His breathing was heavy and uneven. One massive hand pressed against his chest as if holding something inside. Daniel stepped closer, careful but calm. "I'm Human Evacuation Command," he said through the translator. "Can you move?" The alien lifted his head slowly. His eyes were wide, glowing faintly with pain and fear, not rage, fear. "I can walk," the alien said, his voice deep and shaking, "but you must not touch my armor." Daniel frowned. "You're wounded, we need to stabilize you." "No," the alien said quickly. He struggled to stand, using the wall for support. "You must leave it sealed." Daniel scanned him again. The readings were strange. Inside the alien's body, there were multiple smaller life signs. Daniel had seen symbiotic species before, but never like this. "What's inside you?" Daniel asked quietly. The alien hesitated, then he lowered his head. "My young," he said. "They are not born as your kind are. They grow within us, protected, hidden." Daniel's chest tightened. "You're carrying children?" "Yes," the alien said. "They cannot survive outside yet. If my armor is open, they will die." Before Daniel could respond, a loud explosion shook the building. Dust rained down from above. Daniel's comm unit crackled. "Evac leader, respond," command said. "All biological anomalies must be separated for decontamination. Repeat, any unit showing irregular internal readings is not allowed aboard transport." Daniel closed his eyes for a second. The alien heard the transmission through the translator. His eyes widened in terror. He grabbed Daniel's arm with surprising strength. "No," he said desperately. "Please leave them in, I beg you." Daniel looked at the alien's hand gripping his armor. It was shaking. "I have orders," Daniel said slowly. "If I disobey, I put everyone at risk." "My children have done nothing," the alien said. His voice broke. "I have fought beside your kind. I have bled for this alliance." Please, another explosion, closer this time. Enemy forces were advancing fast. Daniel thought of his own home world, of families hiding in shelters, of promises humans made about protecting life, about being better than the monsters they fought. He looked back at the alien warrior, at the fear in his eyes, and made a choice. "Can you walk?" Daniel asked. "Yes," the alien said quickly. "I will not slow you." Daniel nodded. "Then stay close, don't fall behind." The alien stared at him in disbelief. "You will not report me?" "I'll handle it," Daniel said. "Move." They ran. The evacuation zone was chaos. Soldiers shouted orders. Wounded screamed. Engines roared as the first transport lifted off, fire trailing behind it. Daniel guided the alien through the crowd, shielding him when necessary. Some humans stared in fear. Others looked confused. A few raised weapons, but Daniel's authority stopped them. At the transport ramp, a medical officer stepped forward. Her eyes went wide when she saw the scan results. "This one can't board," she said sharply. "Internal readings are off the scale." Daniel stepped between her and the alien. "He's with me." "Daniel," she said, lowering her voice, "you know the rules." "I know," he replied. "And I'm responsible." Before she could argue further, enemy fire struck the edge of the platform. The ground shook violently. Someone screamed that the shields were failing. Get them aboard, a commander shouted. The medical officer hesitated, then nodded once. Go. But this isn't over. The ramp closed behind them. Inside the transport, the alien collapsed onto the floor. Daniel knelt beside him immediately. Stay awake, Daniel said. We're almost safe. The alien's breathing was shallow now. His eyes fluttered. Human, why? Daniel paused. Because someone once did the same for me, he said quietly. The transport lifted off, shaking under enemy fire. Daniel held onto a support bar, keeping himself between the alien and the chaos around them. The alien reached out weakly and touched Daniel's arm. If they live, he whispered, my people will remember this. Daniel didn't answer. He was already thinking ahead, about the report he would have to write, about the punishment that might come. But as the ship broke through the burning clouds and the battlefield disappeared below them, Daniel knew one thing for sure. No matter what happened next, he had made the only choice he could live with. And deep inside the alien warrior's sealed armor, small hearts continued to beat, alive, protected, and unaware of how close they had come to death. The transport ship shook as it moved through space. The engines roared loud and warning lights flashed red across the metal walls. Inside, wounded soldiers lay strapped to seats or on the floor. Medics moved quickly, their faces tired and tense. No one spoke more than needed. Everyone knew the danger was not over yet. Daniel stayed beside the alien warrior. The warrior lay on his back, his large body barely fitting in the narrow space. His breathing was weak, slow, and uneven. Dark blood continued to leak from cracks in his natural armor. Daniel checked the scanner again. The readings were bad, very bad. The warrior was losing strength fast, and inside him the smaller life signs flickered but were still alive. A human medic approached, her hands shaking slightly. He's dying, she said. We need to open the armor and treat him properly. Daniel shook his head. If you open it, the children inside will die. The medic looked at him with disbelief. Children? He carries them inside, Daniel said. They're not ready to survive outside. Another officer joined them, a tall man with cold eyes. That's not our problem, he said. Our job is to save our own. Daniel stood up slowly. He fought for us. He protected human civilians on the ground. That doesn't change protocol, the officer replied. Biological risks are unacceptable. The alien warrior stirred. His eyes opened slightly. He understood enough of the words. Panic filled his gaze. No, he whispered. Please do not open it. Daniel felt anger rise in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. Give me time, he said. Just a little time. The officer hesitated. The ship suddenly lurched hard to the side. A loud alarm sounded. Enemy ships detected, the pilot shouted over comms. We're being followed. The transport shuddered again as energy weapons struck the shields. Soldiers grabbed onto straps and rails. Screams filled the air. The officer cursed under his breath. Fine, he said, but if this thing dies, it's on you. Daniel nodded. I accept that. The officer walked away. Daniel turned back to the alien. Stay with me, he said softly. Don't give up. The alien tried to speak, but only managed a weak sound. His eyes rolled back for a moment, then focused again. I am failing, the alien said slowly. My body cannot heal fast enough. Daniel swallowed. Tell me how to help. The alien was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke. Our species heals differently. We share strength through blood, but human blood, it is strange, powerful. Daniel froze. What are you saying? I have seen humans survive wounds that should kill them, the alien said. Your blood adapts. If you give some to me, it may help. The medic overheard and stepped closer. That's dangerous, she said. We don't know how compatible. I don't care, Daniel said. He removed his glove and pressed his arm against a sharp edge of metal. Blood flowed out, red and warm. The medic hesitated, then helped connect a basic transfer tube. This is madness, she whispered. Daniel didn't answer. He watched as his blood flowed into the alien warrior. At first, nothing happened. Then the scanner beeped. The alien's breathing steadied slightly. His grip tightened around Daniel's arm. Inside his body, the smaller life signs grew stronger. The medic stared at the readings. It's working, she said quietly. Daniel felt dizzy, but he stayed still. Good, he said. Keep it going. Minutes passed like hours. The ship continued to shake under fire. Somewhere, someone shouted that the shields were failing. Finally, the medic stopped the transfer. Daniel leaned back against the wall, breathing hard. The alien warrior opened his eyes fully now. They glowed brighter than before. You risked yourself, he said. For us. Daniel smiled weakly. Humans do stupid things sometimes. The alien made a deep sound that might have been laughter. Suddenly, the ship jolted violently. A loud explosion echoed through the hull. Lights went out, plunging the transport into darkness. Emergency lighting flickered on. "We've been hit," someone yelled. The pilot's voice came through again. "We're losing control, preparing for emergency jump." The officer from before rushed back. "We can't jump with unstable biosignatures," he shouted, looking at the alien. Daniel stepped forward, blocking his view. "Do it anyway. You'll kill us all." "If we don't jump, we're already dead," Daniel replied. The alien warrior slowly pushed himself up. Despite his wounds, he stood tall. "I will stabilize myself," he said. "Give me 1 minute." The officer stared at him in shock. "That's impossible." The alien closed his eyes. His body began to glow faintly. Energy pulsed through the patterns in his armor. The ship's sensors screamed with unknown readings. Daniel felt the air vibrate. Inside the alien, the symbiotic young reacted. Their combined energy flowed outward, strengthening the warrior. The shaking slowed. The pilot shouted, "Stability achieved, jumping now." Space twisted around the ship. Colors stretched and broke, then everything went still. Silence. Moments later, stars reappeared. Calm, safe space. The transport had escaped. Exhausted cheers filled the ship. Some soldiers cried. Others simply sat in silence, unable to believe they were alive. The alien warrior collapsed again, but this time his breathing was steady. Alive. Daniel slid down the wall and sat beside him, completely drained. The officer looked at Daniel for a long time. Then he turned away without saying a word. Hours later, the transport docked with a medical station. Alien healers and human doctors waited. The moment they saw the alien warrior, arguments began. Demands to open the armor, fears, protocols. Daniel stepped forward again. "He lives," Daniel said, "and so do his children. If you open that armor now, you will kill them." An alien healer examined the warrior with advanced scanners. Her eyes widened. "It is true," she said softly. "The young are close to birth. Opening now would end them." Silence fell over the room. The healer turned to Daniel. "You saved an entire bloodline today, human." Daniel didn't know what to say. The alien warrior opened his eyes one last time before sleep took him. He looked at Daniel with deep respect. "My name," he said slowly, "is Kareth. Remember it." Daniel nodded. "I will." As the healers moved Kareth carefully into a sealed recovery chamber, Daniel finally allowed himself to rest. But he knew this was not the end. Word would spread, questions would be asked. And choices made in desperation would soon be judged by people far away from the battlefield. Still, as Daniel watched the chamber lights glow steady and strong, he felt something rare in war. Hope. And somewhere deep within Kareth, new life waited, protected by a human decision that refused to let them die. The medical station floated in quiet space, far from the battlefield. Its white walls and soft lights felt unreal after the noise and fire of war. Inside one sealed chamber, the alien warrior Kareth rested, surrounded by gentle energy fields. His breathing was deep and slow. Inside his body, the young were stable, growing stronger with each passing hour. Daniel Reyes stood outside the chamber, his armor removed, his uniform stained and torn. He had not slept since the evacuation. His body ached, and his head felt heavy, but his eyes stayed on the chamber window. A human officer approached him. Her uniform was clean, her face serious. "Soldier Reyes," she said, "you are ordered to report to command review." Daniel nodded. "I understand." He took one last look at Kareth, then followed the officer down a long corridor. The walls felt too quiet, too clean. Like the station itself was waiting to judge him. The review room was large and cold. A long table stood in the center. Several high-ranking human officers appeared on screens along the walls. Their faces were distant and unreadable. "Daniel Reyes," one of them said. "You disobeyed direct orders on the battlefield." "Yes, sir," Daniel replied. "You falsified biological reports." "Yes, sir." "You endangered a transport ship and its crew." Daniel took a breath. "I protected innocent lives." Silence followed. Another officer spoke. "You put alien lives above human protocol." "No," Daniel said calmly. "I treated alien lives as equal." Some faces hardened. Others looked uncertain. "You understand what that means?" the first officer asked. "You may face imprisonment, removal from service." Daniel met the screen without fear. "If I had opened that armor, children would have died. I could not do that, not as a soldier, not as a human." The room stayed silent again, then something unexpected happened. A new figure appeared on the main screen, not human. She was tall and graceful, her skin marked with glowing patterns similar to Kareth's. Her eyes were calm, ancient, and filled with strength. "I request permission to speak," she said. The officers hesitated, then one nodded. "Granted." "I am Speaker Valcora," the alien said. "Representative of Kareth's people." Daniel's heart skipped. She continued. "Kareth lives, his children live. This is because of one human." She turned her gaze toward Daniel. "You." Daniel stood still, unsure what to say. "In our culture," Valcora said, "a warrior who protects future life above his own is sacred. Kareth carried our next generation into battle. He believed the alliance with humans meant something." She paused. "You proved him right." The officers exchanged looks. Valcora raised her hand slightly. "If this human is punished, my people will see it as a rejection of shared values. But if he is honored, it will become a story told for generations." Another long silence followed. Finally, the lead officer spoke. "We will consider this." The screens went dark. Daniel was escorted out. His legs felt weak. He did not know what would happen next. Hours passed, then days. Daniel was confined to the station, unable to leave, unable to contact anyone. He spent most of his time near the medical chamber where Kareth rested. On the third day, the chamber lights changed. Alien healers moved quickly. Energy levels rose. Daniel stepped closer, fear gripping his chest. Then the chamber opened. Kareth stepped out. He was thinner, weaker, but alive. His armor had changed. New patterns glowed softly, signs of life within. Daniel stared. "You're standing." Kareth inclined his head. "Because of you?" They stood facing each other in silence. Then slowly Kareth lowered himself. He knelt. Every alien healer froze. Humans nearby gasped. Kareth placed one massive hand on the floor. "I kneel not as a warrior," he said, "but as a father. You saved my children. My people will never forget." Daniel's throat tightened. "You don't have to." "I choose to," Kareth said. He stood again. "The young will be born soon, safely." Relief washed over Daniel, so strong he had to steady himself. Soon after, command summoned Daniel again. This time the room felt different, less cold. The same officers appeared on screen. "Daniel Reyes," the lead officer said. "After review, your actions are being reclassified." Daniel waited. "You violated protocol," the officer continued. "But you upheld the core values humanity claims to represent." Daniel's heart pounded. "You are cleared of punishment." Daniel let out a breath he did not realize he was holding. "Furthermore," the officer said, "your actions have reshaped alliance protocols. Symbiotic species will no longer be treated as biological risks." Daniel's eyes widened. "You will be reassigned," the officer added, "as a liaison between human forces and alien allied species." Daniel nodded slowly. "I accept." The screens went dark again. When Daniel returned to the medical wing, he found Kareth waiting for him. "They have decided," Kareth said. "Yes," Daniel replied. "They did." Kareth placed a hand on Daniel's shoulder. "You carry the strength of your kind, not in your weapons, but in your choices." Weeks later, the station held a quiet gathering. The young were born. They were small, glowing beings, fragile and beautiful. They remained within a protective field, watched closely by healers. Daniel stood beside Valcora as Kareth observed his children. "One day," Valcora said softly, "they will ask why humans are allies." Daniel watched the tiny lights move gently. "What will you tell them?" "That when fear demanded obedience," she said, "one human chose compassion instead." News spread across human and alien space. The story of the evacuation, the sealed armor, the human who said no to orders and yes to life. Some criticized him, many praised him. But more importantly, something changed. Humanity was no longer seen only as warriors. They were seen as guardians. Months later, Daniel stood on a new ship preparing for a joint mission. Kareth stood beside him, fully healed now. "We walk forward together," Kareth said. Daniel nodded. "We do." As the ship moved into the stars, Daniel looked out at the endless darkness beyond the glass. For the first time in a long war, he felt certain of something. No matter how vast the galaxy was, no matter how many battles waited ahead, humanity would be remembered for this moment. The moment a human soldier refused to let innocent lives be lost. The moment a choice proved that being human meant more than survival. It meant protecting life, no matter the cost.